Welcome guys! Before we start creating complicated motion graphics and turning them into video transition mattes, I would like to give you a brief, if you like, about what are transition mattes. Transition mattes, in principle, they are videos that you can apply to create a transition using the track matte, if it is After Effects or Premiere Pro. So actually they will allow you to transition from one video to another. How these transition mattes are created? You create first the motion graphics. For example, here we have Matte Grid Wipe. It's a composition. If you double click, you can view the motion graphics. Here you are. It's very simple. This is almost 2 seconds here. It's a motion graphics and it ends up with white. If you come back to your test video, you notice that this is a video that you have applied over here, and it is the transition matte. So the workflow goes like this. You create the motion graphics and you create it in a certain way that it can become a matte. Then you turn it into a video, you render it into a video, and then you can apply it. If it is in After Effects or real professional good video matte can be applied in Premiere Pro. You see here, this is our promo video. Maybe you have watched it. It has the transition here. So if you create a real professional and good transition mattes, you can use them in your video editing program. In this case, for this course, we are going to see how to use them in Premiere Pro, one of the best video editing programs. So video mattes, professionally created and well designed, can be used in your After Effects visual effects project if you like, or in your video editing program. And the way we go about it is to create the motion graphics, render it to a video, and then come and apply it to our transition in After Effects or Premiere Pro. It is as simple as this. In this course, I will take you step by step on how to create your video mattes and what kind of techniques and methods you use to create the motion graphics and how to apply it in After Effects or Premiere Pro. So let's dive in and start creating our first matte in the next lecture. Thank you. I'll see you then. Hi guys, welcome to creating your first transition in this lecture. It's gonna be a simple transition, but we're gonna compile it with the techniques of creating transitions. So let's start. Of course, you want to import your footage. So in any version of After Effects, you will come to the project panel, you right click and go import file. You navigate to where you have saved the sample videos I gave you. They are all 5 seconds and 30 frames per second. I will select all of them just like this and click on import. From here we'll start with only 2 clips to create a transition in between these 2 clips. I will select number 4 and number 5, they're quite cool. To create a composition from footage, you just right click on the footage after selecting them and you go new composition from selection. Here you have the new composition from selection panel. You want to create a single composition, of course, and then in the option here you have the dimensions from any one of them. They are identical in this case. I will take number 4 is okay, and you want to sequence them with an overlap, which is 1 second. 1 second is the overlap, also is the duration of the transition you will create. I'll click OK. Now you'll start creating the first transition. So I will start. I will select the rectangle tool and just draw a rectangle here. It doesn't matter the size and so on. We are going to adjust it. Then I want to put the anchor point in the middle. It's a good habit. You can use the shortcut Ctrl Alt Home on the PC or on Mac Command Option Home. If you don't have Home or this shortcut is not working because of keyboard conflict on the Mac mainly, you can use the pan behind, then come and select your layer, of course, then click on the anchor point and you can drag it around. Now to snap it, if your snapping is off, you can use the Control or Command key and then it will snap in the middle or wherever you want to put it. I'll just put it over here. This is just a habit. Fine. Let's adjust the dimension and the position. In the rectangle one, you twirl it down, you go to rectangle path 1, and in the size here, let's imagine we want to use the repeater to create 10 rectangles coming one after the other. Well, the best size will be the width of the composition, that's 1920, and then you divide by 10, as simple as this, and you get the right size 192. It was obvious, of course. Then you want to align it to the left. Here you are. Cool. So we created our first rectangle and now you want to introduce the repeater. You'll come next to contents, there is add, you click on it and then you go to repeater. It's very easy to use the repeater, by the way. The first thing, if you turn down repeater, you have the options of the copies and then the transformation of the repeater. In the copies we want 10 of them, okay? Then you open transform repeaters. This is how the transformation for the repeater is going to happen. And in position we had 132, the size of the rectangle here. How about if you do it 196, so it moves a bit more, so we have like 4 pixels here in between. It's quite cool. Then if you like, you can click on your layer and use the arrow keys just to adjust it a bit, okay, to make them a bit symmetric if you like to, if you are meticulous like I am. So now you have set your mat you want to animate. To animate it, let's animate the number of copies. So let's go after 1 second. So this is 1 second exactly over here, and we keyframe the number of copies. We go to the beginning and we put the number of copies to 0. Here you are. You have a very nice animation and very simple. To make it more interesting, you can play with the end opacity or the start opacity. Let's keyframe the end opacity at 0% and then go after 1 second, just jump like this and make it 100%. So notice how the animation is a bit different but slightly smoother on the opacity. Cool. Now at the end over here, we don't want these lines to be on the video, we want to cancel them. Well, the best way to do it is to increase the size of the rectangle itself just a bit, or to recover the 4 pixels if you like. Fine. So when do you want to start to do that? If you scrub through, you will notice that it's pretty interesting up to here, and maybe you start cancelling the spacing just from here. That's cool, few frames before. So we'll come to size, we keyframe it, and then we go to the next keyframe, the visible one here. I can use K to jump to this keyframe and put it at 196. So we have a very simple and beautiful transition over here, or a mat if you like. Good. Of course you can come over and choose your keyframes, select all of them. If you like, I will select only these 4. There is no point of this size because it's too small. Press F9 to make them easy ease. It's gonna be a bit nicer, just a bit, not much. Now that we have created our mat, let's rename the layer. We call it transition mat. We want to connect the lower layer to the mat itself. For this, you need to have the transfer mode here open. If you don't see mode and transparency and track matte, just come to the icon over here, expand or collapse the transfer controls. You click on it, they disappear. You click on it, you enable it, they appear. These are the transfer modes. Here we are going to use now Luma inverted. Here you are. So here now we have a very nice transition, but we don't have a bottom layer. Cool. So we're going to adjust it for the 1 second here. Select the last layer, press I to go to its endpoint, and then let's take the mat itself and snap it to the endpoint. Here you are. Then select the top layer, press O, you will go to the out point and simply select the first layer and use the shortcut Alt right square bracket to cut it off. Here you are. Or Option right square bracket to cut it off. Now let's zoom in and see exactly if we are doing very well. Actually, we are doing pretty well. Let's zoom out. Let's play our animation. For example, we start just before. Put the start here. We press B for start, N for end, and we play in between just to save time on you. Cool, very nice transition. Fine. So now that you have created our transition, in the next lecture, we want to make this transition portable, meaning we can take it to other software than After Effects and have the same effect for the transition. We are going to use Premiere Pro as an example in this first section. Thanks very much for listening. I hope this was a nice one and you can make some changes. In the next lecture, we go to render. Hi guys, in the previous lecture we created this simple transition but beautiful one. And if you notice, we have a layer here, just a layer, and it's very connected to After Effects. This shape layer here, I cannot really take it anywhere. You need to create a video from this shape layer and then it will be very portable to anywhere you want, including After Effects, by the way. So the way I will do it is to create a pre-composition from the transition mat. I will right click on it, say pre-compose, and of course transition mat, and I'm gonna remove comp 1, we don't need it, and then move all attribute into the new composition. Of course, adjust the duration of the time span of the selected layers, so it's gonna be 1 second, the new composition. I will click OK. Here you are, you have a 1 second composition that will just open. It's pretty fast, right guys? Okay, in this composition I want you to see the transparency. This is how I'm gonna do it. You come to the bottom here, it says toggle transparency grid. If you put it on, so now it's highlighted, it's on, it means you are seeing what's transparent. When you have these gray and white squares, it means this is the transparency, and this layer here or whatever is on the screen now is transparent. If you play your animation, you noticed how the white rectangle is gonna appear, and now it's not transparent at all. It is 100% opaque because of the white. Cool guys, so this is the transparency, and you need to render with transparency so the transition can work perfectly. Cool. So now this is still a pre-comp. If you notice, it's still working here as a pre-comp. What you have to do is to turn it into a video. For this, you want to use the render. So select your composition, transition mat, go to composition and say add to render queue. In the render queue, let's open the best settings, and you want it at its best. The size is 1920 by 1080. Well, actually this composition you can scale it up as much as you want because it's only shape layers and they will scale nicely. 1920 by 1080 is okay for us. There is nothing else to change here. To lossless, let's go to lossless now. In lossless, I'm gonna use the AVI. So I'm using Windows, so it's gonna be AVI. If you are on Windows and you start using QuickTime, in Premiere Pro it's gonna give you a warning that QuickTime Legacy will not be supported anymore. So you better off start using AVIs, which is okay. Now from the channels here, you don't want RGB, you want RGB plus alpha, because we want to see the transparency when it appears within the video. And then for the format options in AVI, there is nothing to do here. So the most important was RGB plus alpha, remember guys. And if you are on Mac, please use the QuickTime. I will show you an example. And in the QuickTime, the format option, you cannot use H.264. H.264 does not have any transparency. So you want to use JPEG 2000, and this is the best to have transparency. If you select it from here, you go OK, and you see you have RGB plus alpha. Cool. I go back to AVI because I'm on window. Here I am, and I have RGB plus alpha. Alpha is the transparency, if you forgot. Click OK, and in the transition mat, I'll click on it and save it in my course assets, for example, or anywhere you want. You can create a folder called transitions and save it there. I will keep the name transition mass. Here you are. Fine, and then I will render. It's gonna take only a few seconds. It's just 1 second, and it's working. Let's go back to our main composition here, and instead of having the comp itself, we are going to import our video. I will go import file, that's the video transition of course, and here it is in AVI. I will just import it. Then I want to replace this pre-comp or this composition with the video. I will just select both of them. I'll select this one and click on this, then press Alt or Option on the Mac, click and drag and drop it. Notice nothing will be changed except the content itself. Here you are, you still have the Luma inverted, and if you play, you have it fantastic. Fine. So now instead of using a pre-comp or something, we have used a video. So now you have an AVI video that you can use as a transition anywhere you would like. In the next lecture, we'll go to Premiere Pro and I will show you how to apply this transition within the video editing program. I'll see you then. Hi guys, in the previous lecture we created a video mat. We called it transition mat. Now we are in Premiere Pro. If you don't know Premiere Pro, I have a very good course. You can go and learn it. It's the best video editing program. And this is where you are going to edit your 2 hours movie or your 10 minutes for YouTube, or even 2 minutes, and you want to add these transitions that you have created in After Effects. There are several ways to do that, but I'm gonna show you the easiest way. Remember, we already rendered and created the video, so we are not going to use dynamic linking. So I already imported the footage over here. I want to import the transition. It's very easy. From the project panel, that is the project transition, I call the project here transitions. You right click and you say import, and here is the AVI file transition matte, and I will click open. Now let's create a sequence with the two clips that we used in After Effects. You can choose any other clip. I will click and drag to create the sequence. Here we are. What we want to do is to start with the clip 4 and then transit to the clip 5. Like we have done in After Effects, we want this layer to be on top, and let's go to 4 seconds. Here you are, because I know there are 5 seconds, so I go to 4 seconds, then select the bottom one and snap it to the timeline indicator or the playhead. I will take now the transition itself and just drop it on top, exactly like After Effects. But the lower layer is not connected to the transition yet. They just appear, as a motion graphics we like. We need to connect through Luma Inverted. For this, there is a special effects. Let's go to the FX panel. If you click on it here, you can see it. And then you want to look for matte. Here you are. You can type matte, and you have the track matte key. This is the one that we are going to use. You click on it and you drop it on the clip 4. Here you are. Then you go to the FX control panel over here, and you can see track matte key. The matte itself is the video 3. Notice here we don't use the names, we use V1, V2, V3. So this is video 3, this is the matte itself. And then compositing using matte alpha or alpha matte in After Effects, or matte luma or luma matte in After Effects. Here you are, and you want to invert it. So actually, if you want to translate it into After Effects, it will be invert luma matte. Here you are, luma matte. Now, if you run and press spacebar, here you are, pretty beautiful. You got your transition in Premiere Pro. If you're using another program, you will find similar matte. You have taken a transition that has been created in After Effects, render it as a video, and then play it here. Now, why did I make it a video and render it? Now, first of all, dynamic linking is pretty good, but then I will still using After Effects to dynamic link, and sometimes you need to open After Effects for the dynamic link to be quite good. Using a rendered video, it's much better and much easier, and if you note, it will play very nicely in Premiere Pro. So in this couple of lectures, you learned a lot, guys. You created a transition in After Effects, you created a video transition, you brought it into your video editing program, and here you are already doing professional transitions within the After Effects and the video editing program, in this case Premiere Pro. Hi guys, I am sure that you know how to use the repeater and even the double repeater. I would like you, as a practice activity and also a challenge, to create this kind of transition. Look how beautiful it is. It's very beautiful. If you go slowly, you notice that there is some very nice texture that has been created there. Now, there are a few tips I will give you here. First of all, I made it 2 seconds because I actually like it. I don't want it 1 second and fast, so 2 seconds is okay. Now, let's go to the matte itself, which I did not render yet. I will double click here. I will remove the effect I used here, and you notice there is only a circle around here with 2 repeaters. So there is a shape that's a circle with 2 repeaters and the vector effect. I should not show you that, but it's okay. So we remove it. Now, within the shape, you have several choices. You can have an ellipse or you can have a rectangle. Notice the effect here is totally different with the vector. Now, the CC vector blur, I set it the way I like. You can set it the way you want. Or you can have, for example, a polystar. Here I used an octagon, okay, 8 sides, and it's pretty beautiful. If you want to see the changes, here you are. We go back to practice and notice the change now. It's pretty cool and pretty nice. Now, it's up to you to create. There is more. You can add more effects. Let me fix it and I get back to you, but I'm not gonna show you the effect. Okay, so let's have fun. I added one more single effect and look at the result now. It's becoming even more mysterious, pretty beautiful. Look at it. You know, when you do this kind of jobs, though they are very easy, you will look like a pretty professional. Guys, this is your practice activity. I gave you a few tips. It's up to you now to go and do it. In the next lecture, you will have the tutorial for this practice activity. See you then. Okay guys, this is the tutorial for the practice activity from the previous lecture. It's pretty easy. I will show you how I've done it. You start by creating something like this. So you have simple circles that are growing. You notice how? Simple. Let's see how this was done, the circles. If you come to the mat itself, all I have here is an ellipse that I use two repeaters to repeat it horizontally and vertically. The first repeater, we take this ellipse and repeat it just down. Okay, I have 4 or 5 copies, something like this. The second repeater will take the ellipse and repeat it horizontally. Maybe you have 7 or 8 of them, okay, depending on the size of your ellipse. Combined, they will give you horizontal and vertical replication. Cool. Now the animation here, I did not use the copy, but I used the transform for the ellipse itself, or I call it here the shape. I will show you why I added more shapes to demonstrate to you. It's actually animating the scale from 0%, the circle starts growing, and then to much more than 100% to cover the whole screen. So actually you have a very nice mat. Now before switching to the effect, notice that you can use different kind of shapes. For example, I'm showing you about the ellipse, but you can use the rectangle, which with the effect will give you something very nice. The rectangle, of course, you draw one rectangle, repeat it down, then repeat it horizontally, or the other way around, it doesn't matter. And it's not animated, so you can really adjust it the way you want, and you animate the scale of the shape itself, not the layer, guys. Okay, not the transform from the layer, but the shape itself. Cool. Now you can have also a polystar, which in our case here, it's a polygon that has 8 sides. If you go back and see how the polystar is working, it's pretty nice. Maybe you would like to stop over here. But I'm greedy, I would like to add more effects. So if you come to the mat itself, and let's choose, for example, the ellipse to start with, and you have the vector here. This is the CC vector blur. The CC vector blur is very easy to use. Notice what's happening. It's trying to blur all around it. So you can have several types. For example, the constant length, if you like, the perpendicular, whatever type you want to have. You can decide, okay, this is what I want to have within my transition. Here you are. Now this is pretty beautiful here. Depends on your taste and how you want to tweak it. Cool. So within the vector blur, you have a lot of choices to create your ellipse or to create your mat. Notice it's quite beautiful. I chose natural and it's quite cool for me. Notice it's not bad at all. Fine. The amount, it depends on how much you want to do. You can make it excessive, small, whatever. I did not use the angle offset. I just left it the way it is. But it's just kind of rotation if you like. Pretty easy to use, and you can fiddle with it the way you want. So here, let's see how the polystar will look like. Okay. If you go to the main comp now, so this is done, and we have used a single effect. How about if I use the radial blur? And the radial blur now is a blur, but from the center has a certain effect that's pretty beautiful. Let's go see it, and you have this kind of effect if you like. Fine. Pretty cool. But also, I like to fiddle a bit with the radial blur, you know, put it over here. Okay, notice what's happening now, and maybe decrease it a bit. Okay, just like this. So notice the animation here, or the mat itself. It is quite amazing, just with a simple addition of a blur. Now, if you go back, depends on your taste. You can tweak it the way you like, and here you are. So actually, it's pretty easy. A shape and a couple of repeaters. some vector blur and radial blur, and notice you could have other blurs that you can use. And here you are, you have a professional transition. So it's up to you guys now to come and play and find the transition you will want to create. Please guys, render your transition or render a sample video like I've done here and post it on YouTube, and let me see, let everybody see your work and be proud of what you're doing. If you complete this course, you will have a ton of transitions that you can use in your projects or give to your friends or even sell if you like. I'll see you in the next lecture.